Hello, and welcome to another episode of Teaching with Madly Learning. The day before the very large TPT sale, as well as a sale on my own site, I wanted to walk you through my Ignited Literacy program and let you know some of the different features that are included. Ignited Literacy will be for sale on my website in Canadian dollars tomorrow to the 10th of August. So it's a limited time run on my own website. It'll always be available on Teachers Pay Teachers, but Teachers Pay Teachers is in American dollars. Whereas I am, for the first time, giving it a try to be selling one of my most popular resources on my own site to make sure that you have access to this program in Canadian funds, since you are using it in Canadian classrooms. My name is Patty, and I am a junior grade teacher in Ontario, Canada. And I am also the teacher blogger behind madlylearning.com. And I sell my teaching resources on Teachers Pay Teachers. And like I said, they're having a huge site-wide sale tomorrow, and that means that all of my resources are going to be for sale for about 25% off each one of those resources. Ignited Literacy is a comprehensive literacy package for the entire year. That's 196 days worth of content that cover all 100 minutes of your literacy instruction. That includes modeled reading, shared reading, guided reading texts. It also includes your student center activities. And all of this is included in a package that all you need to do is add one of those high quality picture books that are most likely in your classroom library or easily found online. There are going to be two phases to Ignited Literacy. Number one is getting started, and number two is a full-blown program ready to be implemented. The first 15 days of Ignited Literacy is full of getting started activities. It honors the fact that as teachers, we have so much to do within those first weeks, so we can't go full-blown right into a full literacy program. We need to use some of our time for setting up routines, building community in our classroom, and that is no bigger of a job than we have coming to us this September. So the first 15 days is a slower rollout into the full package with the goal of being ready to go and starting full-fledged Ignited Literacy in your classroom by week 4 in September. I wanted to walk you through what the first 15 days is going to look like. You will first download this first 15-day package. In this package, you will notice that there are multiple grade levels. Ignited Literacy for the first time this year is available in a 3-4 version, which is new, the 4-5 version, which is the original version, and a 5-6. For September, we're keeping everything together. And that means that Ignited Literacy is going to be all common amongst all grade levels for the month of September as we roll out the instruction. The first 15 days comes with a week at a glance summary. This can simply be your planning page for the week. So no writing lesson plans for weeks 1, 2, and 3, because you've got these that you can just slide right into your plan book for your literacy instruction. Each day has a more detailed overview of exactly what is going to be happening in the classroom for that day. Notice that there's going to be a reduced amount of time the first couple of days because we are looking at adding other things in, like setting up routines, putting away backpacks, handing out resources, greeting our students. All of that is going to be used in our literacy time because we don't need to do a full-blown unit and lesson on day 1. Whenever there's a read aloud in Ignited Literacy, there's always going to be a read aloud guide. No more needing to read through all of the texts and jotting down your own ideas. They're here for you. Now, do you need to use all of them that are here? No. I've made sure to include a variety of read aloud prompts so that you can pick and choose the ones that you think are most appropriate for your class. There is example anchor charts as well as activity pages for students to use that are going to allow you to either use the anchor chart I provide and maybe photocopy it onto an 11 by 17 paper to post in your room, or you can use the anchor chart samples that I have here and create your own anchor chart on chart paper using this as a guide. There are surveys and activities, graphic organizers, all of these are included within your first 15 days. The entire 15 days will walk you through setting up your expectations for independent work skills. One of the components of this program is that students are going to be working independently in centers, which is going to successfully allow you to do guided reading and student-teacher conferences while they are working. Now, the key here is that students are going to be more engaged. In Ignited Literacy, one of the features is the fact that we are building in choice and voice and empowering our students to use their own voice in their language. I have been talking within the Teaching with Madly Learning Facebook group the entire month of July, and one of the things I hoped that you would get from all of the content that we shared and the things that we talked about is that literacy doesn't have to look like what it did 20 years ago. We can have an open-ended approach to literacy that puts our student in the center of why we're delivering our instruction. We can allow our students to choose the topics that they themselves want to write about. I promise you, when you do this, you are going to have students that are going to beg you for more writing time. It's going to be easier to manage because they're going to be engaged in what they're doing. And they're really going to make more progress than you've ever seen before. Now, once we have set up all of our routines and we've trained our students how to work through centers, how to build up their stamina, to make sure that they know how we expect our language program to run, it's then time to get started on the full literacy rotation and program. September week 4 is your very first week where we are into the full swing using all 100 minutes of our literacy instruction. Each week in Ignited Literacy is self-contained. That means that everything you need for that week, with the exception of the picture book, is all in one PDF document. I want to stop you having to search from this resource and that resource, or this file on your computer and that file on your computer. Everything you need is together, and it fits and makes sense and works together. So your shared reading is related to your read aloud. Your grammar is tied into your read aloud. Your writing is inspired by the things that you're doing in your classroom. Things fit together and make sense. That is exactly my goal when I was designing Ignited Literacy, is I wanted it to make sense. I wanted it to fit together so we could do more in less time, and I wanted to make it easy. Easy for teachers to pick up and have something to start with. It starts with your 2-page lesson plan. In Ignited Literacy, there is 2 phases of teacher-directed lesson. Teacher-directed lesson 1, which focuses primarily on reading, and teacher-directed 2, which focuses primarily on writing. Now, if we want to talk about how to succinctly plan and schedule your language arts, I want you to join me for my popular masterclass that is happening Tuesday and Wednesday. If you go to www.ignitedliteracy.com, you can sign up for that masterclass, and I will walk you through exactly how to plan, schedule, and timetable your language arts, not only for each day, but each week too. Again, each week for the read aloud that's been selected, I've provided a read aloud guide. You get mentor paragraphs to teach grammar in context. You have different activities that will help students learn various concepts that happen to be a focus. Concepts are spiraled throughout the program, meaning you will revisit topics over and over again to make sure that your students are not just getting surface level learning and checking off a box, but they get a deeper understanding of what exactly it is that they need to do in literacy. One of the important aspects of Ignited Literacy is that everything fits together. So if the read aloud is Thank You, Mr. Falker, which is written by Patricia Poloco, well then why not take an author study and use that for our shared reading? So included in Ignited Literacy is all of the shared reading texts that do relate to the read aloud. So for September week 4, you're going to learn more about the author that wrote the read aloud book that you were studying this week. Furthermore, guided reading is a key component in every junior classroom, as we are teaching students not how to read, but how to understand more complex texts and think deeper. So for that reason, the guided reading texts are also included. Within Ignited Literacy, you're actually provided 3 different versions of the same guided reading text. This allows you to be able to reach your lower, your mid, and your high level guided reading groups all with the same text. It means less planning for you and more engagement for your students. The guided reading texts are often related to the picture book or the shared reading in either theme or topic. They're a little bit different, but they're similar. This will help students aid in comprehension skills and see connections and inferences and analyzing different points of the text just a little bit easier. I've also provided you with guided reading notes. So no more going down and scouring the book room to try to find a book for your students to read or 5 books for all of the different levels in your classroom and then coming up with a unique lesson plan for each book because they're all different. If you have your mid, your low, and your high level students all reading the same text, you can have essentially the same guided reading lesson because you're talking about the same characters and the same content. The only thing that's different between those guided reading texts are the sentence structure and the word choice, because those have been modified and altered to fit the reading levels of your low, medium, and high level students. And this is done at all 3 grade levels, and the 3-4, the 4-5, and the 5-6 versions of Ignited Literacy. Assessment is a key stress for many teachers, which is why Ignited Literacy includes your guided reading text. And it includes the assessment notes. One of the things that drives me crazy about being a teacher is looking at how I'm going to take assessment and having to write the same comments over and over and over again in my notes about each student. So instead, I made a quick snapshot checklist. For each student, they are going to be, for each guided reading group, you're going to have key focuses that are going to cover reading for meaning, understanding form and style, reading and fluency, and reflecting, which are the 4 categories within the reading expectations in the Ontario curriculum. You can narrow down those expectations and decide which of your focuses you're going to focus on for each one of those domains. Then when you're tracking student skills through your guided reading, you can simply write the student name, give them a level on each of those 4 categories, and then keep this for 1 page for your guided reading lesson. This takes me between 3 and 5 minutes to quickly fill out and keep track of all of my assessment for my guided reading right in one place on 1 page. Your student literacy centers are also going to be key components for your Ignited Literacy program because you need your students to be engaged independently in work so that you can do the meaningful work of small group instruction. Students will have 4 main centers, and you can see behind me I have my pocket chart set up and a centers board put on the display. There are 4 main centers in Ignited Literacy: respond to reading, work on writing, spelling, and grammar. Now, regardless of what organizational system you use, whether you're using notebooks or duotangs, I've got you covered for the center's activities. There are pages that support notebook use, and there are pages that support duotang use or binder use. For example, if you're using notebooks and you simply don't want to photocopy all of the pages, but you still want the students to have instructions for the week, a 1-page snapshot such as this can be printed off for each one of your students and simply cut out and glued on each page within their notebook. You'll notice there's a little space over here on the side. That's to allow for the fact that these need to fit in a notebook. And a full 8.5 by 11 page doesn't fit very nicely in a notebook, but these fit in between the margins, which is going to make it a lot easier and neater for all of you teachers that really love simple and straight lines. And those of you using duotangs or binders, we've got full page sheets for you where you simply can print it out and hand it to students, and they can answer right on those pages or within their notebook. Writing feedback forms are going to be an essential component of your ability to move students forward in their writing. Since students are choosing a variety of different options of what they're going to write about, you're going to be looking specifically at how you are going to change their writing by moving them 1 step ahead. In my previous video, episode 143, we talked all about how I want you to shift your idea of how to assess students in your literacy classroom, because we can assess them even if they're not all doing exactly the same task. Assessment. There's also assessment pages that directly tie not to your specific products, but to the skills that we want our students to demonstrate. You can use these assessment pages to help you track student readiness and their path on whether or not they are meeting expectations. With all of the content that they're going to be producing for you, you can quickly track which expectations they're doing okay at and which expectations they need more practice at, which will inform your instruction during guided reading as well as during your student-teacher writing conferences. Now, this is every week. Every single week looks like this. It's structured in the same way. You have your lesson plans, you have all of your activities for your teacher-directed lessons, and all of your activities for your student centers. Right there, ready for you to go. You don't need to search and find in a million different places to find it. It's there and ready for you. Now, that doesn't mean that Ignited Literacy is a scripted program where you have to follow it word for word, lesson by lesson. You are the expert. These are your resources. These are the items within the Ignited Literacy program that allow you to take some of the stress of finding all of it for yourself and actually focus on the art of teaching and being there for your students. You can stop worrying about where you're going to find all of your guided reading books, which read alouds you're going to use, and instead you can focus on what skill does Susie need to work on next before she can move on and be an amazing writer. Isn't that really what we want to be spending our time doing? Is helping our students achieve way more success instead of focusing on what the heck are we going to do next? Now, this year, Ignited Literacy has expanded. It started out as a 4-5 program, and I had so many teachers asking for me to expand the grade levels that this year I'm expanding the grade levels to a 3-4 Ignited Literacy, the original 4-5, and a 5-6. I'm also moving where Ignited Literacy lives. 196 days worth of content is a lot to organize when you're downloading them all on the computer. And logging into TPT, just because you forgot where you hid that file that you downloaded 2 months ago, can also be a pain too. So for this reason, I wanted to make Ignited Literacy even simpler. And I have found a platform called Kajabi that allows me to host all of the content in an easy and accessible way for teachers. This year, Ignited Literacy is housed on its own learning platform, which allows me to be able to sell it to you in Canadian dollars and also provide you a monthly payment option. Furthermore, it comes with an app, which sounds really fancy, but let's look at the case use of why an app might be handy. What you see here is the screen of my iPad. Now, I primarily have an iPad in my classroom because it's portable and I could take most of my assessment. But imagine you had your entire year's worth of literacy instruction on your iPad or your phone or your laptop or any computer that has an internet connection. That means that you don't have to print and worry about downloading everything and having it prepped. You have some of the content right here on your screen. What you see here is the interface for the mobile app for Ignited Literacy. And within the program, I provide you detailed download instructions on how you can get this working on your devices too. Once you sign up, you will have access to this app, and you just simply click into the program and it is ready to go, all organized. Now, each month, we release the new batch of content to you so that you have what you need when you need it. You'll notice that we have days 1 to 5 with a quick lesson summary to overview what exactly you'll be doing. And you also have your download of the PDF file right here within the app. You can view everything you need to view. But what if you have a shared reading that you want to do and display that from your iPad onto the screen and maybe even annotate it too? Well, because it's on your iPad, you can export this PDF to a program called GoodNotes, which is another app on your computer or on your iPad. And there it is. You now have the PDF that you downloaded from the app right here on GoodNotes. Now, if you scroll to the page you need, or you look and find, okay, we're going to do this organizer. So now we have the organizer, and I can take my trusty pencil, and with my classes, this is displayed just like it is here. It can be displayed for your class. You can simply take your pen or your stylus or your iPad pencil. You can do this live with your students. So GoodNotes allows you to annotate right on the PDF that I can pull and source straight from this app that I have allowed you to access. So it doesn't have to live on your computer and then you have to do 6 different things to get it to your device. Now, new for this year as well is I've added an extra bonus. We learned that in March, our world can turn upside down in an instant. And we are thrown into a different teaching routine and different problems that we are facing in education all of the time. And if this is your first time teaching literacy, or you're overwhelmed and stressed out about how you're going to do it, then I wanted to provide you with additional coaching and support from me in a way that I can be responsive to you and make sure that you are able to deliver your language program with the most success possible. So for that reason, when you purchase Ignited Teachers Platinum Literacy Coaching Program, now this is included in every Ignited Literacy purchase for the month of September. So you and I are going to make sure that you've got 30 days and you are going to get started. And with that, it is $9.99 to continue after that each month in Canadian dollars to continue with the Ignited Teachers Platinum Literacy Coaching. And with that, you will be given extra bonus resources each month, access to our very popular Facebook group with a community of over 100 other educators that have all used Ignited Literacy who are ready to mentor and help you along the way. And we also are going to have group coaching calls and the opportunity for you to schedule one-to-one office hours with me every other month. This will allow you to make sure that if you've got questions, you can ask. We want to get together and talk with other educators that are also using this kind of literacy program in their classroom. In fact, one of the additional bonuses that is included the pandemic planning package. And this package will include all of the different iterations of what teaching possibly could look like based on all of the different variations and rumors we've been hearing. And I have already walked you through different scenarios in this package about what teaching could look like in a variety of pandemic situations and how you can adapt your literacy program to any situation that we are going to face. So we went from in-class to online in a blink of an eye. And we delivered fantastic educational programming with tremendous value without the experience and support that we probably really needed to do it even better. So I have no doubt in my mind that us as teachers can do pretty much anything and that we can definitely be adapting. I am so excited to finally be able to offer my most popular literacy program in Canadian dollars and make it ready and accessible for you, Canadian teachers. This was designed for the Ontario curriculum, but it works for the BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, New Brunswick, Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, and works for almost every province across the country and will work in all of. You will finally have a literacy program that fits everything together, everything works and makes sense, and you have everything you need from start to finish, so that you don't have to worry and stress about how long it is going to take you to prep and plan your literacy instruction. So Ignited Literacy has got you covered. And if you are ready to say yes to changing and transforming your literacy program in your classroom, then I want you to go to www.ignitedliteracy.com and you can sign up as of midnight, August 3rd. Bye for now.